Right. Oh gosh, sorry about how dark my face is. There's not a whole lot more I can do about it than I've already done. Oh, that's actually helping, so let me do... Yeah, okay. Oh no, that didn't help as much as I thought it would. Anyway, it's very, very, very hot in my office right now. Oh, at least I did not... I'm just, like, so glad that I did not stream last Saturday and I won't be streaming this Saturday. Because it would have been even warmer. Whew. Alright. We are gonna pull up the game so the soundtrack will be audible. Not the soundtrack, sorry, the opening. I'm actually not sure the song you're referencing, John. It always makes me, whenever it's too hot, it always makes me think about the Cole Porter song, It's Too Darn Hot. It's too darn hot. It's too darn hot. But yeah, I'm determined to get through this chapter, and then I think I will abandon my office for a bit until it cools down again. Oh, Foster's Home for America, for Imaginary Friends reference. I just didn't remember. There were parts of that show that were fine. There were other parts I just sort of, like, erased from my memory banks, I think. Anyway. So, Rumpel has been growing on me a little, but I'm still really looking forward to Fritz and Waltz's roots. Let's see. At least I feel like I feel like the story has passed an important, I guess, goalpost of now I can start to actually be invested in... Oh, hello, Ice Starmie! So, Milestone! Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks, John. But yes, so I feel like this story, the Rumpel's route has crossed an important milestone? I think that works as a term. So it's at a point where it's like, okay, I'm finding Rumpel more likable and enjoying the route more. It's still my least favorite, for sure, but, like, the other ones were really good, in my opinion, so it's a little less, like, I no longer am, like, low-key unhappy with it. I'm like, okay, I can work with this route from here, if that makes sense. So, let's see. Oh no, why is the pointer all black? That's kind of weird. I'm gonna not worry too much about it and hope that this is okay. Well, so we'll have a happy little black square for a pointer, and that's fine. Alright, so that would have been the last choice. So let's load from... This should have been right at the end of chapter 5, because I'm pretty sure I remembered to save. Fingers crossed. And we'll pick right up. Wait. Did I not save it last time? Or am I just on chapter 5 and I thought I was on chapter 6? Oh no. I think... Yes, okay, so it's letting me skip, which means... Okay, I was having a moment where I'm like, I don't know how to figure this out. Oh, man, that's frustrating that I have accidentally erased my previous progress. Well, the VOD is still there. It just looks like I forgot to save. So... I think stop walking was the correct choice here. So we're just fast swapping through chapter 5. Sorry about that. Yeah, and that was definitely the choice here. And then eventually this will hit a point where it will no longer fast forward because it will be new content, I think. And defending Rumpel was definitely the right... Okay! There we go! That's why I was confused also, because it opens on a very similar note. Alright, so let's update my save. Alright, let's try that again. Oh yes, you are very right, Ice Starmie. Since we're at a midpoint, we'll start getting revelations. Yes, so, like, I will say, with Rumpel, like, the previous chapter, I really liked getting to see more of his, like, passionate, caring doctor side. Like, that is really what made the difference in making me like him more, for sure. Like, and the everyone deserves care regardless of if they can afford it or not was also, like, you know, I personally strongly agree with that sentiment. So it was just, I definitely really liked the last chapter for, like, showing a really good light of Rumpel. And the other thing that happened last chapter that I found really important was Rumpel, it seemed, genuinely offered to sort of back off on the excessive compliments that had been annoying Lucette, and she said, nah, it's alright, basically, you know, in her tsundere way. Like, she did a, like, well, you wouldn't be you without the compliments, I suppose. Which was a tacit approval for him to continue showering flowery compliments. Which means that it is no longer vaguely feeling like he is pushing unwelcome flirtations on her, and more like she is comfortable with it, which just changes the whole dynamic for me, so. In a good way. So yeah, so with that, let's get to it for real this time. Alright, Rumpel. What a brilliant day! The sun is shining, the town is full of laughter, and I have... Lucette. My sweet princess here to accompany me. Rumpel, shocked. It sounds like I'm getting easier to read, too. Lucette. No, you've just said it enough times that I memorized it. Rumpel. That means you must pay attention to my words. That in itself is a compliment, princess. That's also true, Ice Starmie. We spend a whole chapter of Rumpel not flirting with other ladies. That was a plus, for sure. And then there was an argument with Karma, which I just remembering that I want to go back and comment on, which I was sympathetic to both sides of the argument, because Karma has, you know, learned the hard way, like, you know, don't lead women on, it's not cool and can go really poorly for you. Whereas Rumpel has not learned that, and I don't think Rumpel, based on Rumpel's defense, it feels like he doesn't think he's leading women on. He thinks everybody's in on it, and, like, you know, yeah, flirtation is just, you know, a fun game, and he just hasn't realized that not everyone's on... You can't assume that the women are on the same page as you unless you clarify that with them, you know? So I definitely got the impression that eventually that's going to come to a head in some way, and Rumpel is going to have to learn the hard way that being indiscriminately flirtatious without clarifying your intentions causes him problems. So, this is my theory, so I just wanted to share that again, so. Alright, wait, what is she responding to again? Alright, so I'll reread from here. Rumpel. That means you must pay attention to my words. That in itself is a compliment, princess. Lucette. It is not. We are on our way to the usual store to restock our medications when a small figure leaves out through the front door. She stares at us with a lost look on her face. Rumpel reacts immediately, making his way over to her with a broad smile. She kind of looks like a named character, because, like, I'm looking at her and I'm like, she's got a face. And usually the nameless background characters do not have full facial features, so I look forward to finding out who she is, because this is the first new character we've seen in a long while. Rumpel. Madam, I can't help but notice the pained expression upon your beautiful face. Is there anything I can do to assuage your worries? Foreseeing your lovely face shadowed by such sadness stabs me right in the heart. Woman. Shock. The woman stares at Rumpel, dumbfounded. His smile wavers and he takes a step back, suddenly looking alarmed. Rumpel. Oh, I'm sorry. Woman. It's you! Rumpel. Huh? Woman. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Rumpel. This is awkward, madam, but I'm afraid I don't know you. Woman. What? In fact, time for some revelations. According to Ice Starmie, so let's look forward to this. Rumpel. Or do I? Do I know you? Woman. Silence. I take a step forward and look at the woman flatly. Lucette. He has been cursed. He has amnesia. Woman. Shocked. Amnesia? The woman stares at Rumpel, scrutinizing him. Woman. Out loud. You do seem different. Changed from before, in any case. Rumpel. Shocked. Out loud. So you knew me before? How terrible it is of me to forget such a lovely face. But perhaps you could help me remember? The usual flirty suggestion is in his voice, but the woman seems unaffected. Woman. I can help you remember. Rumpel. You can? Woman. It's no wonder I can't remember your name. You have the fairy tale curse, don't you? Lucette, thinking to herself. Who is this woman? Woman. You truly don't remember me? Rumpel. I'm sorry. The woman looks conflicted, but the expression is gone as fast as it appears. Woman. I'm Bria, your fiancé. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, and so now I'm gonna catch up with chat after that huge drop. Ice Starmie says, I am right that she's important for the story. She wouldn't have a sprite if she wasn't relevant to plot, with full sprite with eyes and all that. Yes, alright. Yeah, no, Ice Starmie, you were not wrong. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is a heck of a plot drop. Whew. Oh man, it makes me wonder if, I had thought that, I assumed he had a wife or, I wouldn't have thought it was a fiance, but I had just, I know earlier I talked about this whole theory I had where based on his reaction in, chapter 4 or somewhat to something, I thought that maybe he had been married and, his wife had died a tragic death or something, but now I'm like, what if the person he was remembering was actually Bria? In which case... Oh, also, T'Pau, you were making a fair point. Actual fiance or not, and saying she is because amnesia. That's an interesting theory, too. Alright, well, no way out but forward. Oh, fair enough, T'Pau. So, we haven't had... Last chapter didn't have any major, revelations. It just had a lot of actually really positive Rumpel content. There was a lot more focus on his, doctor stuff and, how passionate he is about being a doctor and helping people. And including, in fact, him and Lucette getting into a discussion about, a debate about, how he feels really strongly about caring for everyone who needs it, regardless of if they can afford to pay or not, which I'm like, wow, Rumpel, you have done one of the things that you have made me instantly, more sympathetic to you as a character. His likability went up enormously as soon as he started, staunchly defending the right of, basically the right of healthcare regardless of income. Indeed, his one redeeming quality. But, it's a heckin' redeeming quality. And, he there was a sick person who came to the Marchen and Rumpel, like, sequestered himself and, like, took the guy to his room and sequestered them for, like, 3 full days to, like, care for him. And Lucette got her first good deed because Rumpel was really stressed because, like, she went to check on them, and Rumpel was stressed because this guy was not going to get better without medication, but he couldn't afford the medicine. Like, he and Annis was helping him, and they just didn't quite have enough. And so Lucette went and took the rest of her own money and combined it and went off to buy the medicine without telling anyone. And she just, like, you know, did it for no reason besides that it would, you know, help people and make them happy. And so she got her first good deed that way. Okay, Ice Star Me. The person he remembered at the time confirmed is Bria, but as for how it, as for what his relationship with her was like, that will be told later. Interesting. All right, so I think that's the biggest thing you missed, T'Pau. Like, I don't remember there being. I feel like you also missed Chapter 4, but I don't remember anything really significant happening in Chapter 4. Oh, and also I was mentioning this at the beginning of the stream, but Rumpel genuinely offered to stop showering excessive compliments on Lucette, and Lucette said, nah, you wouldn't be you if you didn't, so guess it's okay. And, like, in a way that felt a little, you know, not like she was begrudgingly accepting it, but, like, in her tsundere way, like, I've gotten used to it, and it would be weird if you suddenly stopped. Because she's, like, slowly started to find it endearing or whatever. But that also means that Lucette has now explicitly, confirmed, like, basically explicitly consented to having flowery compliments showered on her, as opposed to before when she kept being like, stop doing that. Which just totally changes the dynamic for me. Like, I'm way more comfortable with him being excessively flowery complimenty towards her when she has stated that she's generally chill with that. So, T'Pau, I think that covers all really major plot points from the last 2 chapters, but, let me know if something comes up that's confusing. I don't remember if you were here when he had his first memory, which was just, he seemed really distressed, and I don't really remember the specifics, but it had something to do with, yeah, alright. So, right, ask me if anything comes up that you need answered, otherwise I will keep going. So this woman has just dropped, I'm Bria, your fiancé. Rumpel, shocked. Lucette, thinking to herself, what? The shock is apparent on my face, but nowhere near as impressive as the astonishment on Rumpel's face. Rumpel, my fiancé? Lucette, thinking to herself, she has to be lying. How can Rumpel possibly have a fiancé with the way that he is? He is barely able to dedicate himself to a single woman for an hour. Bria takes a step forward and takes Rumpel's hands in her own. Bria, you don't remember holding my hands like this when you took me to the forest and proposed to me? Rumpel opens his mouth, but no words escape. He reminds me of a lost dog all of a sudden, with his eyes so wide. Bria runs her fingers over his hands. Bria, I loved you, and you loved me, and I still love you very much. Rumpel, I don't remember this. Bria, how can I help you remember? Rumpel's voice is faint, but still he tries to smile. Rumpel, the circumstances of the curse tell me that I need to remember through memories and, a journal somehow. Bria, a journal? I have your old journals. I can show you the very first love letter you wrote me. Rumpel, shocked. Bria starts walking, her hand still clasped in Rumpel's. I stare after them for a few moments, trying to piece together what is happening in my head. I chase after them. Bria enters a house, one that Rumpel stares at in awe. When she comes back out, she is holding a journal. She hands it to Rumpel, then opens up to the first page. Bria, this is a little embarrassing, but there it is. You compiled your letters into a journal. Rumpel slowly reads over the words, and I notice the strange, glazed look come back into his eyes as his expression grows more somber. Lucette, thinking to herself, this is like last time when he remembered that he was a doctor. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking at chat and seeing I missed T'Pau I assume you were meaning about the previous chapters that you were going to try to watch later today. Alright. So, never mind, keep going. Right, Lucette thinking to herself. This is like last time, when he remembered that he was a doctor. Bria turns to me as Rumpel is reading, and her eyebrows arch. Bria. And who are you? Lucette. His partner. Bria. Partner? Lucette. We are helping each other with our curses. Bria. Oh, you're cursed too? You poor thing. Yeah, I didn't believe it just from the expression on her face. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. Yeah, let's try this again. Oh, you're cursed too? You poor thing. It's my attempt to do a totally insincere reading of that. Bria's voice is flat. She is glaring at me beneath her smile. Lucette thinking to herself, I have done nothing to merit this distrust from her. And I cannot bring myself to trust her either. Yeah, T'Pau, I agree. She is drawn positively scheming. Rumpel. Bria. Rumpel looks up from his journal and stares at her. Bria. Yes, sweet? Ah, man. I wonder, yeah, I do wonder if she kinda pressured him into, or I don't know. Maybe she earnestly was with him but was super jealous, or like, oh gosh, there's so many possibilities at this point. I don't want to speculate. Like, maybe she's just finding normal and I'm overthinking it, but we'll find out, I guess. Rumpel's melancholy expression throws me off. Last time he was so excited when he realized he was a doctor, but now his expression is heartbreaking. Rumpel. I remember. I did propose to you. Lucette, shocked. Rumpel. In the forest, when it was dark, Bria. You set up little lights around the clearing. We spoke for a while, and then you got down on your knee. You dropped the ring. Or like, you dropped the ring. Rumpel. It had fallen in the roots of some tree. Bria. We only noticed it when a bird came to pluck it out of the bramble. I had no idea what you were looking for, but I still chased after the bird. Rumpel. And you got the ring back, and you knew. Bria holds out her hand, and I notice a beautiful red-green gem ring on her ring finger. Oh. Bria. It was still charming, though. I laughed for so long, because it felt so memorable. Plucking your engagement ring out of a bird's beak. Rumpel. You're right. Rumpel smiles a little uncertainly. In that moment, I feel him turn away from me. He does not even realize I am there, standing with Bria. Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. Why am I feeling so uncomfortable? Bria. You said you were helping Rumpel with his curse, yes? She turns to me. There's no worry. I can help him now. That is what couples do. I have to force the pity out of my heart. I have to force myself to think rationally. Lucette thinking to herself. Something still seems off about this. But Rumpel remembers. Which means this is the truth, isn't it? Alright, I'm gonna save because it's a choice time, and I'm gonna go, I will be actually right back. I am so overheating. I'm gonna try to, like, get some ice cubes to put behind my little fan, because it's, like, the hottest part of the day, so, but yeah, I will be... Alright, I have switched to lighter, sweat-wicking sports clothes, and I have a little ice pack sitting behind my fan so it actually blows cool air on me. And I got plenty of water. Should be able to make it through the rest of this chapter. And hopefully next week will be cooler, else I will install an AC and no longer have this problem, I hope. Oh my goodness, okay. So I saved because there's a chapter here, but I think being like, I am still, you know, fighting, like, you know, if it's the romance route, and I'm not sure I totally trust, and we're not, like, Lucette's not sure she totally trusts her, and frankly, I, the player, don't entirely trust her either. I think insisting I'm still his partner is the right choice, so we'll see. Lucette, thinking to herself, I still feel something is wrong. I do not trust this woman. Bria, do you know anything about him, dear? Lucette, shocked. Bria. Oh, and I skipped, but, like, yes, I did kind of skip over, but, like, the bit where, like, I should probably have read out loud that Lucette, I didn't realize that usually they have Lucette actually say the thing. But, so, alright, I'll read it, I'll actually read the choices. Sorry for going back, but let's do this again. Bria, do you know anything about him, dear? Lucette, shocked. Oh, wait, no, back further. Yes, okay, so, sorry, I messed that up. So, we're gonna restart from the choice, even though I didn't check if it's the right choice, because my brain is a little frazzled from the heat. We're gonna start from here. I'm gonna actually read the choice dialogue, because it didn't read it like it normally does. We're gonna load, not save. Okay, so. So, Lucette, thinking to herself, something still seems off about this, but Rumpel remembers, which means this is the truth, isn't it? Oh, maybe she doesn't say this out loud, she's thinking it to herself. I am still his partner, is the choice I'm making. Lucette, thinking to herself, I still feel something is wrong. I do not trust this woman. Bria, do you know anything about him, dear? Lucette, shocked. Bria, have you helped him regain any of his memories? Lucette, silence. Rumpel, she was with me when I regained my memories I will just add the word previously. Lucette is a very valuable good luck charm. Lucette, shocked. Rumpel flashes a small smile at me before turning to Bria. Her eyes seem a lot colder now. Bria, tell me, what do you go by now? Until we figure out your name, I need something to call you. Rumpel. Rumpel. Bria's cold gaze falls on me, and I can sense something in them that surprises me. Lucette, thinking to herself, jealousy? Why would she be jealous of me? Bria. Rumpel, would you maybe want to come back home with me? Rumpel. What? Bria. I know you must be overwhelmed, but our home might be able to help you remember some things. Rumpel. I'm sorry. I actually have a patient somewhere else that I need to tend to. Bria's eyes flash briefly. Her frown is there for a few seconds before she smiles again. Bria. You always were good with your patients. Rumpel. I'm sorry. Oh, T'Pau, yes, that confirmed the right choice. Bria. It's okay. I understand that you're overwhelmed. But remember, now I am here for you too. I want to mend things, to make them go back to what they were before. That phrasing is also a little suspicious. I want to mend things kind of implies that they were broken before he, like, even without him losing his memories. Rumpel. Silence. Bria. How about you look over that journal and then we meet again tomorrow? We can take this one step at a time. Rumpel. I would like that. Bria. We can get to know each other again, and in time I'm sure you'll remember what we used to have. Rumpel. I loved you. Bria. And I did too. I still do. A slight shiver runs down my spine as I stare at the two of them. Lucette, thinking to herself, there is that uncomfortable feeling once again. Bria and Rumpel agree on a spot to meet tomorrow, and then she leans up to kiss Rumpel on the cheek. Rumpel, shocked. He puts a hand on his cheek as she walks off with a gentle smile on her face. Lucette. Are you okay? He looks at me, and for a few moments I feel that his gaze lingers longer than it normally does on my own eyes. Then he smiles and laughs. Rumpel. Of course I am, Princess. I just remembered something about my own past. I'm guessing that the second entry has appeared in my journal by now. I can't wait to get back to the Marsh End to read it. Bria has the rest of my journals, so I might truly be able to remember everything if I talk to her. Lucette. Including your love for her? Oh, hi, Shirato Kai. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. This a very, very warm afternoon. I am midway through the chapter, but if you want, let me know if you'd like me to do a recap of the story so far, or if you have any specific questions. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep going. Lisette, including your love for her? Rumpel. Silence. He sighs out before he proclaims that we should finish our errands. I follow him around town, though the scenery lacks its usual vibrancy. Yeah, the read I am starting to get now that we've gotten through that whole scene with her is, okay, cool, Shirato Kai. So the vibe I'm getting from that interchange is that Rumpel really did love her, but that she is problematic, probably as relates in some ways to her jealousy. I wonder if she was maybe controlling and was trying to isolate him, or something like that. That's kind of the subtle read I'm maybe getting off of her. And he wanted to get out of the relationship, but she was, if I'm right about her being, like, controlling, sometimes people who are really problematically controlling of their partners get really upset when the partner tries to leave them. Hopefully I'm not unfairly maligning her. And if I am unfairly maligning her, I will belatedly apologize to the fictional characters, but like, the way Rumpel is acting around her, and the way he said, I did, like, you know, past tense, I loved you, makes me feel like maybe the relationship had ended, or Rumpel wanted to end it. But, you know, we'll find out. Also, I'm turning the background music up a little bit. Oh, T'Pau. T'Pau's theory is that she doesn't like how he medicines? Interesting. Nah, she's drawn that way. No, you're right. She is drawn kind of, suspicious. And, like, that's definitely a thing to take into account. When it's a fictional story where, you know, artists gave thought into how they were presenting a character, and the character is drawn in a way that makes them kind of suspicious, it's a factor to consider. Anyway, he sighs out and before he proclaims that we should finish our errands. I follow him around the town, though the scenery lacks its usual vibrancy. Rumpel doesn't speak to anyone, not even the girls, while we walk. He keeps his eyes focused on the ground, and when he speaks to the shop owners, his cheer is lukewarm at best. I try to start a conversation with him many times, but he shies away from talking. Lucette, thinking to herself, I feel like there is something he is not telling me. And to be fair, the way he is acting is very something is wrong kind of vibes. When we arrived at the Marchen, Rumpel quickly excuses himself, not even sharing his epiphany about his past with anyone. Karma. What has him so bent? Every time, Karma and Rumpel, I do their voices so similarly that I get shaken up. What has him so bent out of shape? Lucette. He just regained another memory. I am assuming he is going to go read about it now. Lucette, thinking to herself. It is not like him to hide things. I hope Rumpel is okay. Alright, well, it's a little transition scene. It has been about a week since Rumpel regained his last memory. He has been meeting with Bria since then. Lucette, thinking to herself. But he still hasn't told me about the memory from the journal. He does not flirt with any girls, and when he sees me, his smile looks broken. He spends his days visiting Bria and tending to Parfait. Waltz. You're worried about Rumpel, aren't you? Lucette. Why would I be worried about him? Waltz. Silence. Because Rumpel is no longer able to run errands with me, Waltz decided to take his place. But Waltz's presence cannot make up for Rumpel's absence. I really don't like that he has immediately started isolating himself. Like, the moment he starts meeting with her again, he's cut off all of the flirting, which, problematic or not, was big thing he did. He stopped talking to Lucette. He stopped interacting with anyone, barely interacting with anyone at the March End. That's usually a red flag. Like, when interacting with a person causes someone to cut off all contact with everyone else around them. It's a warning sign. Waltz. He'll be fine, Princess. He's still figuring things out. Lucette. I do not trust that woman. Waltz. His fiancée? Lucette. She appeared out of nowhere. Waltz. People who aren't cursed can't find the tavern, Princess. She would never have been able to find him. So really the only place she could have met him was out here in nowhere. I can tell that he is teasing me, but it does little to lift my spirits. Lucette, out loud. I know. Waltz sighs. If you don't trust her, why not just ask around for her? Lucette. Lucette, out loud. She obviously does not want to talk to me. Waltz. No, I mean, ask others about her. So long as you find a way to phrase your intentions honestly, I think they might understand you. Lucette, thinking to herself. Rumpel says my honesty is good, but I also know that the way I speak frustrates many people. Waltz. Come on, I'll help. Actually, that's a good call, because, like, asking other people what their impression of her is gonna get much better, and, like, anytime that Lucette is a little too blunt for other people's tastes, if Waltz is there to smooth that over, I like it. I like it. Waltz. Come on, I'll help. Waltz approaches a flower shop where several people are gathered to look at the fresh flowers. Waltz. Excuse me, madam, sir. I was wondering if you knew anything about someone named Bria. We hear that she is engaged to a friend of ours, but he hasn't said much about her. Lucette, shocked. Lucette, thinking to herself. Everyone calls me blunt, but I would never question others so openly. Does Waltz really expect the people to be so open to him? Ah, yes he does, as it turns out. He also knows he has clout in town, and that's why he's offering to help out. That makes sense. Woman A. Oh, if it isn't Waltz. Doing a little investigative work, are you? Waltz. Just looking to find out more about someone important to a friend. Man A. Not going to put this into one of your shows, are you? Waltz raises an eyebrow and laughs. Waltz. Of course not. Lucette, thinking to herself. Everyone just trusts Waltz. I suppose he must speak to people often, being a performer. They would probably never suspect Waltz to do anything morally questionable. And yet with me they were suspicious of everything I did. I guess it is a good thing that Waltz is here. I stifle a sigh as the so-called investigation begins. Man A. But Bria, I was under the impression that her fiancé wasn't seeing her anymore. Yep, step one. That's already a point in favor of my theory that he had broken up with her. Or tried. Oh, interesting. Woman A. Bria! Oh, poor Bria. I heard that the poor dear made a mistake and that her fiancé threw her out for it. I wonder, T'Pau, your theory that she didn't like how he medicines, I'm blending that with some of my theories. I wonder if she fucked with his ability to care for a patient, and he got, righteously pissed at her and was like, nope, we're done. Which would be a very good reason for him to be done, which also makes me wonder if she's the one who arranged for the curse on him. Whew. Woman B. Interesting. Alternately, maybe she just cheated on him. Simple as that. Could have been. Woman B. Is she engaged to someone new now? I'm not surprised, given the affair that she had on her first fiancé. Lucette, shocked. Excuse me? What did you just say? Woman B. Oh, you aren't aware? I'm terribly sorry. Perhaps I shouldn't have said anything. Lucette. You said she cheated on her first fiancé? Woman B. She was engaged to some man, a doctor, I believe. He was a good man, always smiled, helped everyone, including the poor. I don't see how she would have the gall to do it, but the rumors state that she was seeing another man. I think I saw them out together sometimes. He was a rich businessman. Lucette. Who was he? Woman B. I believe he was one of the doctor's patients. Waltz. Did anyone see this for sure, ma'am? Woman B. Oh, lots of people did, and that's why the poor man stopped seeing her, bless his heart. He looked heartbroken. But then the two of them were engaged, so she should have been more committed to him. Lucette, thinking to herself. When Bria first approached Rumpel, she had no idea he had amnesia. She started apologizing to him. Was it for that affair, or am I just speculating? We thank the woman for her help before continuing to ask around town for more information. The more we hear, the more certain we become. Lucette. She cheated on him. Waltz. Princess, I know what you're thinking, but it would be incredibly rash to tell Rumpel about this. Lucette. But she is lying to him. Thinking to herself. I can still remember the sadness in his eyes. Maybe somewhere deep down he still knows. Did his journal entry not say anything? Waltz. You can try talking to him, Princess, but without any evidence, we're just going off of rumors. If you were wrong, I think that would hurt the situation a lot more. I am forced to acknowledge Waltz's reasoning. As much as I want to tell Rumpel right now, I do not even know where he is. We finish our errands for the day and then return to the Marchette, where I complete my chores around the tavern before retiring to bed. Oh, to Pao, I bet it did, and I bet he's using her to try to remember. Maybe, yeah. Later that night, after turning for hours in bed without any success of sleep, I make my way downstairs for a glass of milk. I stop abruptly at the sound of hushed voices. Parfait and Rumpel are sitting together at a table, their voices soft. Parfait. It means a lot to me that you're still taking care of me, even with everything that you have on your plate. Rumpel. When things are as uncertain as they are right now, the little things that remain the same are actually comforting. Parfait. What, no compliments tonight? Rumpel. Silence. He clears his throat. Rumpel. Lady Parfait, I always find comfort in your presence. Parfait. Your heart's not in it, is it? Please don't stress yourself out trying to take care of me. I've seen the orders of medicines and the dosages. I can take care of myself, Rumpel. Rumpel. I owe you and Lady Delora for letting me stay here. Even now you could have kicked me out, yet I'm still here. Parfait. This isn't the confident Rumpel that I'm used to seeing. It is rather heartbreaking to see you like this, you know. Rumpel. Silence. Parfait's eyes drift past Rumpel, and she sees me before I can dart away. Parfait. I think you're worrying your partner, too. Rumpel turns in his seat and stares at me. Rumpel. Princess? I slowly make my way towards them. Rumpel. I'm sorry, Princess. I haven't been trying to help you at all. Lucette. It is fine. Parfait's right, though. It is not like you to be so pitiful. Rumpel. Ah, your words are still as sharp as ever. I glance at Parfait curiously. The light of the tavern lights her face up dimly, making it look more making it look more ghostly than usual. Lucette, thinking to herself, she looks sicklier. Parfait. Do you think I look like a ghost, Princess? Lucette. Yes. Parfait. By the time night comes around, I am utterly exhausted. Lucette. You said you were like this because of the Tenebrarum Lucis you have to take care of? Parfait. That is correct. I used to be able to watch over it more easily, but now with the balance between both crystals lost in the kingdom, it's getting harder. This responsibility is a big burden. It is a heavy toll on my body. But that doesn't diminish any of my pride. I am proud to bear this responsibility. Someone needs to do it, and I am very glad I can help so many people through bearing this burden. Lucette. What would happen if you just let the responsibility go? Parfait. There would be even more chaos than there is now. Lucette. And what if the Tenebrarum bearer? Would they not help you with your stress? Parfait. There is no Tenebrarum bearer currently. Lucette. What? Parfait stares at me for a few moments, a complicated expression on her face. Then suddenly she sighs. Parfait. Please do not worry about me, Princess. I've lived a good life. I just want to do more good while I'm still alive. And I am very lucky to be surrounded by so many good people. Anyway, the two of you should be off to bed soon. I can tell you're both tired. Parfait pauses to look at me, eyebrows still slightly arched. Parfait. Oh, but before you go, there was something I meant to ask you. Lucette. Ask me? Parfait crosses her arms and looks at me tersely for a few moments. The look is so unlike her that it almost concerns me. She looks uncertain of something, though I cannot imagine what it is. Lucette, thinking to herself. What could she want to discuss with me? Parfait. I wanted to ask if you were free the day after tomorrow. Alright, I'm gonna assume that that is Parfait planning to tell Lucette the whole story. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Finally getting around to it. Lucette. I am free whenever my schedule says I am. Parfait. Then, if you could spare 20 or so minutes, I want to speak with you about something. Very important. Lucette. Important? Parfait. I suppose you could say it is related to your curse. Lucette. Fine. Parfait smiles at us before walking back to her room, leaving me alone with Rumpel. Rumpel smiles at me uncertainly. For a few moments, I think he might actually talk to me, but then he rushes off after giving me an apology. I watch him walk up the stairs, my heart sinking. Lucette thinking to herself, I need to know what is going on with him. Today is my day off. I keep on the lookout for Rumpel. Eventually, I see him making his way down the staircase. He does not look quite as disheartened as last night, but his expression is still rather somber. He says good morning to everyone as he usually does, and then walks out through the front door. Lucette thinking to herself, and that is my cue. Following behind Rumpel without being seen proves to be remarkably easy. Lucette thinking to herself, even if he is perceptive, he won't be expecting me to follow him when I normally work during these hours. He makes his way through the town until he comes to a stop at a little cafe in the main plaza. It is cleverly hidden, just slightly out of view, not at all in plain view like the rest of the shops. Bria is sitting, waiting for him at a table with a journal. The way she smiles at him numbs my heart. I make my way over to the nearby fountain and crouch beside it to keep out of their view. I can hear their conversation just barely from where I sit. Bria. You know, I've been searching for you a long time when I saw you. You suddenly disappeared from the house one night, and I couldn't find you. Rumpel. Why did I leave the house? Bria. I don't know. You definitely know, Bria, and it was definitely a fight. Rumpel. Was it a fight? Bria, shocked. Bria. No, not a fight. We barely ever fought. We made a promise when you gave me this ring. We promised we would never make each other sad. Yeah, Bria, it feels like Bria is taking the opportunity of is taking advantage of his amnesia to rewrite their history a little. I close my eyes and breathe. Bria's words drive a bitterness through my heart, after everything I heard. Lucette thinking to herself, it is possible those rumors were baseless, but isn't it also possible that they were the truth? And Rumpel mentioned a fight. Now is my chance to tell him. I kind of feel like interrupting the conversation is not the right answer here. So, I might be wrong, but I'm gonna try not to. Lucette thinking to herself, but if somehow everything that we heard was one big lie, would I hurt Rumpel? I also have my pride. I cannot just accuse someone, even if I feel that Bria is guilty of something. I step away from the fountain, meaning to head back the way that I came. Even if the situation sounds wrong, I feel that Rumpel would hate me getting involved. And that's the vibe I was getting, too. I am surprised, then, when he calls my name. Rumpel. Haha! I was right! Yes, okay. Not getting involved was the respectful choice here. Especially when she's not 100% sure about the rumors. Okay. Rumpel. And actually, I also want to briefly say, I appreciate that was the right choice, right? Like, I appreciate that because I also, you know, I personally felt like that was the right call here. Even if Lucette does choose to tell him, right here was the wrong place to do it. Like, making a scene right in front of Bria without Rumpel being able to think on it and decide what he wants to do about it feels really inappropriate, so... Like, but her making the choice to say, nope, not gonna do it here, and walk away, and then felt like the right choice, and I'm glad it was the right choice. However, as we've seen, Rumpel saw her anyway, so let's see how this goes. Rumpel. Princess? What are you doing here? Lucette, shocked. He saw me? Did he know I was behind the fountain? Bria. Spying, are we? I make my way over to the table, to where Rumpel is looking at me with worry, and Bria is openly scowling at me. Lucette. Silence. Bria. Is there something wrong, Miss Partner? Lucette. Not with me, but perhaps with you. Bria. Excuse me? Lucette. You seem to have quite the reputation. Bria. Shocked. Rumpel. Princess? Bria. I have no idea what you're talking about, but taking words at face value is foolish. Lucette, thinking to herself. Mother would have said the same thing, but why would they lie? Okay, the fact that her mother would have said the same thing is another point against Bria. Lucette. So it is not true that you were seeing another man? Okay, I am also more okay with Lucette doing this confrontation here and now with Rumpel having, like, noticed her in first and interrupted the conversation rather than, because it feels less like she's just barging in and more like she is taking the opening. So, Bria, shocked. How dare you? Bria stands up and glares at me. I frown back at her. Her anger does not faze me. Lucette, thinking to herself. She seems like a petulant child. Bria. I can't stand jealous girls. They are the bane of my existence. And you're what, 18? Lucette, thinking to herself. 17, but what does that even matter? Bria. Either way, there'd just be about a 6-year age gap between you two. Rumpel, shocked. Rumpel. 24? Gods, am I really so ancient? Okay, fuck you, buddy. That 24 is not that old. 24 to 17 is a pretty big age gap, though, so... it's not such a big age gap, I think it's impossible, though. Like, he's... 7... It's also a fantasy realm where, like, being 17, 18 is... I actually feel like, in general, like, you know, Lucette's gonna turn 18 really soon, and that's about, like, 18 to 24 is about the absolute max age limit of this person is older than you that I would deem maybe doable. Basically, that is anytime you are in your... If the number of your age has a 1 in front of it, and somebody who has an age that has a 2 in front of it, be suspicious of their motives, for sure. If their age has a 3 in front of it, you should just not be dating. Like, nah. If you're younger than 20, you should not be dating someone older than 30. That's just, no. Like, there is almost no circumstance where that is not uncomfortable for everyone. And a bad idea for power dynamics and, like, potential toxicity, and, yeah. Alright, fair enough, Johnny. 18 and 24 does not meet the half your age plus 7 rule. For me, it's about where you are in life, so, like, just based on how I think of age, 25 would be my absolute cutoff for you should not be dating someone under 20. However, in modern day, you should not be dating someone, if you're in your 20s, I believe you should not be dating someone under 20. That's, I mean, maybe if you're 20 or 21, but, like, I just think if you are over 20, you should not be dating someone in their teens. However, because this is sort of a historical, like, medieval Renaissance time, I'm willing to treat that as 18 as more equivalent to 20 than it would be in a modern day context. So I'm gonna say I'm tentatively okay with this age gap because of the historical context. However, I am not endorsing that age gap in real life, and I did misspeak earlier and make it sound like I was, but I do not endorse someone over 20 dating someone under 20 in almost any circumstance. Unless, like, it's like you're 19 and 20. Like, if you are less than 2 years apart, that's a different story, but... Or maybe, like, 2 years apart or less, but... You know, like, I'm not gonna worry about it if it's, like, a college senior dating a college freshman. That's kind of a different thing, but, yeah, nah. 24 and 18 is just a bad call, generally. I know of very, very, very few circumstances where that has ever worked out for a person. And it's just about the power dynamic, right? Like, someone who is older is going to just, even if they're not trying to, there's going to be an instinctive power unbalance there. And that's why age gaps are a bad thing. Or age gaps are a potentially dangerous thing, is I think what I would say. Alright, so Rumpel says 24. Gods, am I really so ancient? That said, I also think 24 is not that old in general in the grand scheme of things. For age reasons, it's old, but like... that gets into the whole people feeling like they're old in their 20s, and I'm just like, no. You are still very young. You are in the young adult phase of your life. And young adults should probably not be dating teenagers. But young adults... are still fairly young. Yeah, Ice Starmie is also making a fair point. She's not even 18 yet, so... This is not an advisable age gap. But yes, alright, sorry. I'm gonna try to push through, because I am... Whew, my office... the temperature in my office has gone up to 85, which has increased 5 degrees as I've been in here. Alright, so Rumpel says the thing. The two of us look at him in unison, then back at each other. Lucette. I am here because I want to help my partner, and because you are lying to him. Bria. And who are you to say that I'm lying? You're a terrible little spy is what you are, hiding places to watch us, going around town asking about me. Rumpel. Silence. Bria. I'm telling you now that Rumpel doesn't need you, especially if you're the one spewing lies. Lucette. Those words have no weight coming from a hypocrite. Bria. Shocked. Oh, fair enough, Ice Starmie. I am glad to hear that Rumpel is the oldest love interest in the game, so at least there is not an uncomfortable age gap between any of the other love interests. But it is yet another point in Rumpel is my least favorite, Rumpel's route is my least favorite by a margin. Rumpel. Wait, ladies! Rumpel looks between the two of us, eyebrows furrowed. Then he shakes his head. Rumpel. Bria, I knew. It was in my journal. Lucette. What? Rumpel faces Bria, his expression crumpled. Rumpel. It was that lord, wasn't it? The one I refused to take money from that one time I helped him? Bria. Silence. Rumpel. He told me himself. Bria. Shocked. Rumpel. I think that's why this feeling inside of me is so mute right now. Why I was always having second thoughts about your stories. Bria, why didn't you ever tell me you were seeing him? Bria. Silence. Rumpel. I asked you that question back then, too, but you never told me, and so I was waiting for you to bring it up again. I was waiting for you to explain. I was waiting for... Bria. As if I could ever get anything through that thick skull of yours. Rumpel. Shocked. Even I cannot stop myself from staring at her when she insults Rumpel, but with this she has admitted that the rumors are true. Bria. Even if I explained myself, all you would ever say was that you were sorry, but nothing ever changed. Rumpel. What did I do that was so wrong? Bria. Silence. Look at you! Even now you can't bring yourself to be angry at me. You knew the truth, and instead of demanding to know why I did what I did, you kept asking what you did wrong. Oh gosh, was she trying to make him jealous? Because that's kind of messed up. Bria. But you'll never realize what you did wrong, Rumpel. Never. Rumpel. Bria. Some things never change. Bria scowls as she makes her way around the table. Rumpel tries to call her back, but Bria only frowns as she walks off. Rumpel lets out a long sigh. And there goes all my journals, too. Lucette. Right, he said that Bria had all of his old journals. Lucette. That was her thinking to herself. Lucette. I am sorry. Rumpel. Huh? Lucette. I only made things worse. Lucette, thinking to herself. I'm still not entirely sure what they were talking about, but... Rumpel. Princess, you don't have to apologize for anything, though... Rumpel. I would like you to apologize for shedding some light on my age. Lucette. What? Rumpel. Am I really truly that old? Suddenly he looks disgruntled, but the look of distraught on his face is almost comical. I cannot help it when I smile, and then start to laugh. Oh, her laughing face is so cute, though. Oh, T'Pau, yeah, I see your theory pans out, at least one of them, yeah. Like, okay, to be fair, that just ended with, yeah, nah, that relationship is over. Like, that was very, very clear that the, Rumpel and Bria's relationship is just over. On more on both of their sides than Bria was willing to admit, it sounds like. Rumpel, shocked. Do my ears deceive me? Is that wonderful sound coming from your mouth, princess? How precious! Lucette, it's just... You are an old man. Rumpel, if I'm an old man, then I'm young at heart. Besides, I would be a lot more offended if you weren't smiling while you said that. Yeah, to be fair, I don't like their age gap because she's, like, 17, actually, and he's 24, but I wouldn't have much of a right to speak if they were, like, 5 years older, even if they were 2 years older, because I must admit, like, I have dated many people with a huge age gap, and the only one that I genuinely think in my own history was a huge problem was when I was 19 and the other person was 32, and oh, that really was an abusive relationship, and there was a power imbalance. But when I was like 21 and dating someone who was 30-something, I was still not great, but it wasn't an unhealthy relationship for that reason. And I was also 21 when I started dating my current husband, and that worked out okay, and he's also about 6 years older than me. So the 6-year age gap is not my problem. The fact that it's a 6-year age gap and she's still a teenager is a problem. But Ice Starmie, you're so right. Her smile and laugh is very cute. Rumpel, if I'm an old man, then I'm young at heart. Besides, I would be a lot more offended if you weren't smiling when you said that. After a few moments, Rumpel sighs and shakes his head. Rumpel, I'm sorry you had to see all that. I knew there was more to the story than Bria was letting on, because I read the memory in my journal. Lucette, you knew about the nobleman? Why didn't you not say anything? Rumpel, like I said, I was waiting for her to say something. I wanted her to open up about it honestly. Lucette, thinking to herself, Bria is undoubtedly bold, but I doubt she is at all honest. Rumpel, the journal entry. I never read it to you. Lucette, you have been distant the last week. Rumpel, I have been, and I'm sorry for that. But allow me to enlighten you. Rumpel gestures to the chair that Bria had been sitting in, and I take a seat opposite him. Rumpel, first, the nobleman was one of my patients. He had a grievous sickness, one that no one else had been able to cure. I cannot help but remember the little boy with the impossible sickness. Oh wait, sorry, I was reading that like it was still in Rumpel's voice. I cannot help but remember the little boy with the impossible sickness. It seemed that he was drawn to Rumpel too. Lucette, thinking to herself, Rumpel was not able to help that boy on his own either. Some woman offered her assistance. Lucette, out loud, did you manage to cure him with the help of that same woman? Rumpel, it's another cryptic entry, but yes, the mysterious woman from the first entry reappears. We strike another deal, but I cannot remember the deal at all. All I know is that afterwards I did something to make Bria hate me, and she began seeing the nobleman. Or maybe it was before that. Maybe she was just unhappy. She won't explain why. Lucette, she still cheated on you. That is her fault, not yours. Yeah, I'm with Lucette. Like, Bria clearly was unhappy, but she should have talked to Rumpel about it and, communicated about what she was upset about. And not just gone and done something to upset him. Like, yeah, like, it's clear that she was like, oh, I feel unhappy in our relationship. Clearly the answer is to go make him jealous. No, the answer was to talk to him about it, but apparently that's not in Bria's wheelhouse. So, instead she cheated on him, which is not the answer. Anyway, I wonder if the deal he made with I'm sure the mysterious woman is, like, a separate character who is a witch. I wonder if the deal he made was to not accept money for treatment. And then, like, maybe Bria got pissy about that. But she was also obviously pissy about how passive he was or something. But yeah, it is interesting, and I look forward to finding out more details about the deals he made. Rumpel nods absently. I can tell he is not convinced. Rumpel. In any case, even though I can't remember the entirety of what happened, every time I thought of Bria, I thought of our love in the past tense. Rumpel frowns, but it is fleeting. Suddenly he is smiling again. Let's head back for now, Princess. I'll figure out how to reach Bria later. I follow Rumpel back to the Martin. Though he seems fine for a time, Rumpel's somberness returns as we head back. He looks like he is trapped in his thoughts. Lucette, thinking to herself, he needs the rest of his journals. But how is he going to get a hold of them now? Parfait. Oh, Princess, you're here. Sorry we're late. Alright, this is going to be the big reveal. Before we totally scene transition, I just want to sort of clarify some of my thoughts about age gaps, just because, like, I don't want to set a bad example. You know, I actually feel pretty strongly about the fact that, I mean, even though I don't have a lot of viewers, I have a semi-public platform, and I don't want to be giving people, like, bad life advice. So my opinions on age gap are as follows. First of all, there's actually a good rule that people have invented, which is, like, the age gap, it is a rule of thumb. Not an official rule, but a good rule of thumb for an age gap is check if the difference is more than half the older person's age plus 7. That usually puts you in a pretty good range, and it adjusts for if you are younger, the age gap being not as big a deal if you're in the same, or rather when you're younger, age gap being a big deal, but when you're older, it being less of a big deal, which I feel is generally true. However, also, think really long, be really careful. If you are in your teens, especially if you are in your teens, think very carefully about dating someone who is in their 20s. I don't recommend it. It's usually a bad idea. If you are in your teens, please don't date someone who is in their 30s. That is pretty universal, or older. That is pretty universally a bad idea. If you are in your 20s, similarly, be careful about dating someone who is in their 30s, or if you're at the very early, if you're in your very early 20s and they're in their late 20s, it starts to become a little fuzzier, but just go in with caution. When there is an age gap in a relationship, there are certain age gaps that I think are just never a good idea, especially when you're very young, because there is an extremely high chance that person will manipulate you and you won't be able to recognize it. This happened to me. This has happened to people I've known. Like, it's a bad idea. Like, yeah. And if you are going, and even if you choose to disregard this and you are like, yes, there's an age gap, but this person's different, don't just assume they're different. Go in carefully. Like, go in looking for red flags. Like, read up on what emotional abuse looks like and what manipulation looks like, and watch for the signs. Like, don't go blind into an age gap relationship. That, I think, is my ultimate message there. And the half plus 7 rule is a good rule of thumb. If they're older than half, then if you're younger than half their age plus 7, probably a bad idea. Also, if you are an older person watching this, maybe don't date someone who is younger than half your age plus 7, because even if you don't mean to manipulate them or have an unhealthy power dynamic, there's a very good chance it will happen anyway without you meaning it to. Alright. And that was my PSA about age gaps in relationships. I'm going to, for the majority, I may give more PSAs in future. I might do this little PSA in a shorter form in future chapters, but I won't do it more than once a chapter, and like I said, I'm going to choose to, for the sake of this story, I'm going to ignore the fact that I'm going to not worry about Lucette and Rumpel's age gap, because historically age gaps worked differently. Alright, so that is my PSA. Let me go check up on chat. Ice Army says, Bria was definitely not wrong, but she said that all he did was to say he was sorry, so it's possible she did talk to him. She also said he would never understand what he did wrong. Either way, cheating on him was wrong, of course. Yeah. No, like, what I see happened here is that probably Rumpel also did something wrong. Maybe she was pissed at him flirting with women. He didn't think he was doing anything wrong, but she never explained that. She just decided to, like, give him... This is purely theory, but I wonder if she didn't like that he flirted with other women, was waiting for him to figure that out on his own, or tried to talk to him and he wasn't super receptive about it right away, and she decided that the only way to get through to him would be to actively cheat on him. Which isn't great. So the only thing I know for sure that Bria did wrong was cheat on him and then lie about it and refuse to come forward about it on her own. And also just generally that implies bad communication on her part. It's possible Rumpel also had bad communication, right? Like, so in my mind, the key things to making any romantic relationship work, or really any relationship in general, is trust and communication. Like, if you're not happy in your relationship, talk to the other person, sit down and try to explain it to them. And if they're not getting it, well, that's a problem. Johnny, one take with "now we know, and knowing is half the pingu." I like that phrase, thank you. Oh, thank goodness, there is a cooler breeze blowing in from outside. I needed that. Okay. I feel like we're probably getting towards the end of the chapter, so let's keep going. This is probably the big reveal about her mother, so let's look forward to that and seeing how she'll react to it in this room. Parfait. Oh, princess, you're here. Sorry we're late. Delora. My, the princess is gracing us with her presence? Lucette. Parfait said a few days ago that she had something to discuss with me, so I am here. Delora. Then let's get right to it, shall we? She plops down on one of the chairs, and Parfait sits down gracefully beside her. Parfait. Princess, the other day you asked me about my responsibility, and briefly about the Tenebrarum bearer. Lucette. I did, but what does this have to do with me? I'm also going to pause for a second and just say, this is the first run that I've seen Delora and Parfait come forward to just tell Lucette without there being a precipitating incident that made them feel like they had to, and I'm glad to know that they would have gotten around to it eventually. On their own. Lucette. I did, but what does this have to do with me? Delora. It has everything to do with you, because when it comes to that second inquiry, the answer is right here. Delora points at me. I stare at her, not comprehending. Parfait. Princess. Yeah, I agree, I also don't understand why Delora feels the need to be so snarky about it. I guess that's just her modus operandi. That's just her default personality. She doesn't know how to unsnark. Parfait. Princess. The bearer to the Crystallum Tenebrarum is you. Lucette. What? I am not even able to feel shock, just confusion. Lucette, thinking to herself. But how do I have anything to do with these crystals? Delora. See, I told you she'd be confused. Parfait. It's because we started backwards. I'm so sorry, Princess. Lucette. I do not understand. Parfait. You remember the story about the crystals, Princess? For a time, the crystals were in complete balance. Even the witches who drew on negative energy were respected. Then Delora. Then one day, Hans wrote the fairy tales. Witches were suddenly painted as villains. Humans attacked the witches, trying to drive them out. Parfait. Their leader, who just so happened to be my best friend, was hard-pressed to try and keep the peace. She was the original bearer of the crystal. Oh wow, that's new information. Oof. Before Lucette's mother went down the dark path, Parfait was her best friend? Oh, I suspect that there's going to be more reveals about that later down the line in this game, with Parfait's tendency to do nothing, or at least not enough, having really, really not helped lead Lucette's mother down the path of darkness. Or rather, really having helped to lead Lusette's mother down the path of darkness. Sometimes inaction is just as bad. Like, inaction means you're doing nothing when you could have done something, and Parfait tends towards inaction. I mean, to be fair, to Pao, you are right. That might also explain some of why she did nothing. Like, she may have not been willing to accept that her friend had gone so far down the dark side. But also, Ice Starmie, fair enough, that's one of the reasons that you don't like Parfait much, and I can respect that. Anyway, Parfait. But as witches were killed and thrown out, she found her patients wearing thin. I'm sorry, also. As witches were killed and, like, just unceremoniously thrown out of the country, she found her patients wearing thin. That's a way to put that, Parfait. That's also true to Pao. Like, struggling to be as blunt and forward as she really needed to be because she's like, but this is my friend, I need to, like, couch this more. Yeah, I could see that. Delora. She killed a human. The ultimate taboo. Oh, wait, sorry, that's Parfait's voice. Delora. She killed a human. The ultimate taboo. And there was nothing we could do but try and stop her. I mean, maybe she had a dang good reason for it, but... Yeah, that's also fair. She was friends with the Terra Nebrera and Bearer and should have been more mindful of the impact the fairy tales would have on the witches. Yeah, if she was friends with Hans, then, like, you know, there was maybe something she could have done to be like, are you sure it's a good idea to paint witches as this evil? Maybe have a couple of stories with good witches? A la Wizard of Oz? Have, like, witches who are good along with your witches who are bad? Like, yeah, absolutely. Parfait could have... It sounds like Parfait knew Hans and absolutely could have had something to... Oh, I wonder if that's who Lusette's mother killed. I wonder if Lusette's mother was like, this is a nightmare and I don't know how to fix it, and what if I just kill the person who's causing it? Oof, that's my theory. Ugh. Anyway. But then it's like, oh, it's the ultimate taboo, so alright, we gotta stop you, but too bad for all of the things we maybe could have done before we got to this point. Parfait. This bearer, the leader of the witches and bearer of the Crystallum Tenebrarum, is someone you know. Or someone you knew. You know, also, sorry, I keep side-noting here, but, like, I also wonder if that's what pushed her over the edge. Like, she was at a loss as what to do. She decided to kill someone, probably Hans, the fairy tale writer himself, and that was what pushed her over the edge. Like, the darkness of that act was what made her fall to the darkness of the Tenebrarum and just become an awful person. Anyway. Delora. She erased all your memories. Made you think that the fairy tales were evil. That humans were terrible. Okay, to be fair, I have a big problem with erasing the memories because that's gaslighting. Like, that's magical gaslighting, which is honestly worse. Well, no, just as bad, let's say. But also, maybe the fairy tales weren't all that good in this world. Maybe it is not entirely fair to say, oh, but the fairy tales weren't evil. Maybe the fairy tales were a little bit at fault. Maybe humans really were a little bit terrible. Just saying. But yeah, erasing her daughter's memories is fucked up. Oh, the whole thing of the first person Lusette's mother killed will be talked about more in Waltz's Route. Anyway, Lucette, shocked. I feel something dark stirring inside of me. A sharp pain cuts through my heart, making it hard to breathe. Parfait. The previous bearer of the crystal was your mother, Princess. Hildir, the leader of the witches. Lucette. That is impossible! Mother was not a witch! Delora. But she was, the strongest of us all. When she died, she kept some of her power sealed within the crystal, which is why it still allows the fairy tale curse to be spread. Lucette. What kind of lie is this? Lucette, thinking to herself. I cannot use magic, and Mother never told me she was a witch. She would have told me! Delora. It sounds like it, doesn't it? But I assure you, Princess, we wouldn't ever lie to you about something like this. As impossible as it seems, you are a witch. Parfait. Your power won't manifest until you're 18. and at that time you will inherit control of the crystal. Delora, since your birthday is soon, this was the last chance we had to teach you goodness. Your mother's been shielding you from it for so long. We trusted you were different from her, and you are. Okay, you only kind of trusted Lucette to be different from her. You sure snarked a lot that you didn't. Lucette, thinking to herself, but Mother was the only one that ever loved me. Lucette, was she the only one who ever loved you, or did she make you believe that she was the only one who ever loved you? Because I think it's the latter. Delora, she stole away your memories and made you hate the world. Parfait. Delora, she was fostering hatred in you, making you just like her. Lucette, you do not know anything about Mother. I stand up, rage coiling inside of me like a snake. I'm also finding this frustrating. Like, Delora, no, she was not. She was trying to fester hate in her daughter, but what she festered instead was distrust of everyone outside of her. Lucette was never hateful. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Starmie. You didn't trust her. If you did, you wouldn't have cursed her. But yeah, like, to Pow, I also agree, like, oh, honey, your mother was not the only one who loved you. I stand up, rage coiling inside of me like a snake. Parfait. Lucette, I know a lot about her. More than you will ever know. Lucette. No! Delora. The truth is hard, Princess, but eventually we all have to face it. Parfait. Hildir was my beloved friend. Facing her was the hardest thing I have ever done. We only want to help you. Lucette. Well, you are not very good at it. Okay, to be fair, Lucette is not wrong. I turn on my heels and storm out of the room. I feel that there was more to what Delora and Parfait wanted to say to me, but I cannot stand to hear it right now. I walk into the clearing and sit against a tree, furiously rubbing my eyes as I try to clear my dangerously watery eyes. Lucette, thinking to herself, showing emotion is weak. I sit there for a long time in the clearing, trying to calm myself. My thoughts spin wildly out of control. But yeah, the things that Lucette's mother did succeed, isolating her, making her distrust other people, convincing her that she was the only one who would ever love her, gaslighting her. A lot of real... Basically, Lucette's mother instilled trauma. More than hate. Rumpel. Princess? I see him out of the corner of my eyes, standing between two trees, his eyebrows knit together with worry. Lucette. What? You were listening? Rumpel. Listening? No, I just came to look for you in your room, and when I came downstairs, Parfait told me you had run out into the forest. Lucette. Silence. Rumpel. May I sit next to you? I say nothing as he walks over to me. He sits down beside me, his hands resting on his knees as he looks up at the canopies of the trees. Rumpel. Thank you for today, Princess, for coming after me and trying to make things right. Lucette, thinking to herself. I am not in the mood to talk about this right now. My thoughts are too scrambled. Rumpel. Sometimes truths are hard. Oh yeah, he doesn't know exactly what the conversation is, but I'm sure he's got a guess. Lucette. How do you know it was the truth? Rumpel. A feeling. Trusting people is hard sometimes. I understand. He looks at me, and his eyes seem to glimmer softly in the moonlight. Rumpel. Would you like someone to listen to your problems, Princess? Okay, I will save here, but I feel very strongly that if talking about her feelings is not the right answer, I will be upset. Fair enough. As far as Starmie says, as far as I can remember, this is really the only route in which they reveal the truth to her without being compelled to do it by some kind of problem caused by the villains. Like I said earlier, nice to know that they would have done it eventually. They would have gotten off their own. Took them long enough. Anyway, I feel very strongly that the right answer here is to talk to him, and I will be sad if the game tells me it's not. I rub at my eyes as Rumpel looks at me with a quiet smile. Lucette, thinking to herself. He could be talking about his own problems, but instead he is trying to comfort me. Out loud. Parfait and Delora told me about something they were keeping hidden from me. They told me something about Mother. And it does not make any sense to me because everything that they are saying makes her a villain. Rumpel. Even villains are often misunderstood or have trying circumstances. Rumpel slowly reaches out to rest his hand on top of mine. I sit up straight and stare at him, my eyes wide. Rumpel smiles at me, a slow, soft smile that crinkles the edges of his eyes. Rumpel. Seeing such a beautiful lady close to tears makes my heart break, you know? I also I kind of like the previous thing he said, like, your mother, like, it's a very good, your mother was a villain, but she was still your mother. She can be both things. Rumpel. Sorry, I'm gonna actually read that back from the beginning, because it's all one phrase. Rumpel. Seeing such a beautiful lady close to tears makes my heart break, you know? But if you ever need to cry, you should. Tears aren't a weakness. They're just a form of expression. And even the strongest of us cry. Yes! Sorry, I'm just like, again, Rumpel coming out with the say it louder for the people in the back. I cannot agree strongly enough. It is okay to cry. It's just a form of emotional expression. I feel so strongly about that. Lucette. I am not going to cry. My mind reels and then starts to feel fuzzy. Rumpel. Definitely the Ice Princess. The title startles me out of my thoughts. I stare at him pointedly, beginning to grimace, but Rumpel just smiles. Rumpel. I always thought it was a delicate name, suitable for a strong and beautiful woman. Seeing you like this, it makes me realize that the name suits you. I like that. He's turning around this negative nickname and saying, well, I do think it suits you because you are delicate and beautiful. And for someone who's only been called, like, blunt and abrasive, that's a sweet compliment, I think. Lucette, thinking to herself. Perhaps if everyone else meant it that way, it would not be so terrible a title. Rumpel slowly takes his hand away and smiles. Though he insists on hearing me out, I insist on the opposite. For now, I want to keep what I discussed with Parfait and Delora to myself. I still need time to process it. For tonight, I just want to forget that the conversation ever happened. For some time, the two of us are silent. There are no words exchanged between the two of us, but the silence is comfortable. Then eventually, Rumpel puts a hand on my shoulder. Rumpel. Things will work out, Princess. Wait, I don't remember seeing the right choice indicator. I'll go a little longer, but I guess maybe she was too overwhelmed and the right answer was to not talk about it. Maybe it would have been nice for him to give her, like, unasked for comfort. Alright, we'll go back in a second. Lucette. I hope so. Yeah, she's about to leave. Okay. That is a sign that my choice was wrong, because I don't remember seeing the indicator. I do also think it's a fair point. Like, okay, she's very emotionally overwhelmed, and talking when she is emotionally overwhelmed is not typical to her personality, and this will allow him to comfort her without her, like, feeling like she's asking for it. That's how I'm going to interpret this as how it can be the right choice. Aw, Ice Starmie says, you know, I don't like Rumpel much, but I admit that I do like this specific scene, and I like how he turns around the Ice Princess name into something better. Yeah, I strongly agree on both points. Yeah, this is a sweet scene, and I like it. Alright, well, let's see how remaining silent goes. I'm sure he will still be a good comfort. Lucette, thinking to herself, my problems? Why would he want to know about my problems? Rumpel. I understand what it's like, Princess, to have a secret stuck inside of you. To want to keep things to yourself because you're worried that someone will prove you wrong. But you can always talk to me about it. Okay, fair. I could see this as the right choice just because it enabled him to say that. Lucette. And also to reassure her that no, really, he cares about her as a person. Lucette. Why are you so interested in my problems? Yeah, okay. Yep, fair enough. Yep, alright. I have been brought around. I have been brought around on this being the correct answer. Rumpel. I told you before that the best thing you can do is listen to a person. That is how you learn how to sympathize. Besides, I honestly care about you. I will always listen to you, princess. Okay, that was really sweet, and, like, I really appreciate this scene. This is helping me like Rumpel. And then, okay, so we're back to Rumpel slowly reaching out to rest a hand on top of hers, and, like, the ice princess thing, and I'm gonna skip back to where we were. Alright. Then eventually Rumpel puts a hand on my shoulder. Rumpel. Things will work out, princess. Lucette. I hope so. I stand and excuse myself. Out loud. Good night, Rumpel. I turn and walk away. Rumpel. Good night, my sweet princess. Alright, end of the chapter. Oh, this was fun, yeah, I liked this. There was some really good revelations in this, and I was, sorry if I was at any point a little, like, if there were, especially early on, it was, like, so hot in here, so I hope I didn't come across as, like, lose the thread of anything too much or be too loopy, but if I did, my apologies. It was very, very much the heat, and this time I'm remembering to save. Alright, so we have properly saved at Chapter 7, and we'll pick up next week. Yeah, alright, I am really glad. I was desperately hoping that Rumpel's route would have won me over by the midpoint, and, like, sure, it's still unequivocally my least favorite, but, like, I no longer as I said earlier, I no longer actively dislike this route. I am now able to enjoy it, and will just, you know, I enjoy all of the other routes more, but I have come to actually enjoy this route, like, and not just feel like I'm suffering through it, and I am very glad of that. I really liked the revelation with Bria was really interesting. Rumpel and Lucette have what feels like a much more pleasant relationship. Like, it no longer feels like he's trying to push himself on her. It feels more like they actually like each other. Like, Rumpel's been a lot more tolerable by a lot. He's actually said and done a lot of things I've really appreciated in the last 2 chapters, like his doctor stuff. Him comforting her in this scene was really sweet, and so yeah. This was a very good chapter, and I think I will genuinely enjoy the rest of this route, and not just feel like I have to get through it for the story. And as I was desperately hoping that we would get to that point, I'm glad for it. Alright, well, alright, I'm gonna do the quick check to see if there's anyone I feel up to rating. And then I'm gonna go eat something and refill my water, because I went through my 40-ounce water bottle as one would expect me to, while it is very, very warm. Oh my goodness, I keep being like trying to click on Twitch and it's just not working. Okay, we got it, we got there. Alright, yeah, alright. Oh, you know what? It's a weird transition, so I totally respect if anyone doesn't want to come along in this raid, but Shirato Kai was in the chat earlier, and he is actually an IRL friend, so I'm gonna send a raid over his way. He's playing Blood Bowl, so very different energy than this, but, like, again, like, he's a friend, so I hope, you know, gonna send a little bit of support his way, so. Shirato Kai. And you know, nice, since he was in the stream today, so. Alright, well, I will, you know, thank you everybody, as always. Thank you to Pow, and thank you to Ice Starmie, and thank you to Johnny for all being here and hanging out in chat. Thank you to anyone who was lurking. And I'll be back at Cinderella Phenomenon next week, same time as usual. My next stream, other than that, will be this Thursday. I'll be doing Minecraft on Thursday instead, because I can't do a Wednesday stream, so. Alright, let's go say hi to Shirato Kai. Bye!